small parts blanket.
Oh, okay. So, hey, we're on the home stretch.
We were on the home stretch last week.
Okay,
Still on.
we're coming up to the last turn. How about that?
Yes.
I don't know, something. Why is Zoom being Zoom? I have no idea. All right. So I did some editing. Project 3 file down here is just the directions. Project 4 file up here is exactly the same doc. I just have it mislabeled. Just go with me. It's the directions. I'll go in later today and fix everything so it's pretty if I remember. If I don't remember, someone on the front row probably will email me and remind me. All right. Or show up at lunchtime. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. Several things I want to talk about today. Before we get started, just some bookkeeping kind of stuff. If you go back to the course homepage, your course evaluations are live. As I was telling some people that were here early, we do absolutely read these. I don't actually get my course evaluations sent to me until after you're well out of my class and the grades have been posted, and they're completely anonymous. Even if I could figure out who you were, it won't affect your grade in any way, shape, or form, good or bad. But it does affect professors in that, you know, if they're trying to get tenure or they're end of the year reviews, we do actually go over these. They're a small portion of that. They are absolutely read by me. They're absolutely read by the head of the department. Now, why do I read them? Where I could try to make improvements. So if you have thoughtful feedback on something that went horribly wrong or horribly right, let me know. If you absolutely hate me, that's fine. If you, I will be honest, if you start calling me names and stuff, I'm less likely to take your comments seriously. So if you want to be taken seriously, be adult about it, I guess, or professional about it. Let's go with professional. You're all adults. That makes sense? Do you have to do them? No. But I just wanted you to know that if you took the time, that it will get read. All right. That being said, we can go back to the content page. We have this week, then we have Thanksgiving, then we have one more week, and then we have finals. So basically, we have 2 weeks of class and finals. Finals is not a full week, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's only half a week. I don't know. I have to go look up the dates for sure. What I'm going to do for you guys, if we get back down here, ignore this hidden one on mine. The final exam, I can't remember the exact date. It was supposed to be for this one, but I'm going to open it on the last day of class, which is December 1st, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look up all these dates because I realized I had 2022 on this week's assignment and 23, so I might be off one way or the other. Give me a little grace today. So that being said, I'm going to go over what's expected of Project 3 today. I might start some coding. I don't know. We'll see how far we get on the descriptions and whether or not you guys have questions. I need you to have a good, firm understanding of Assignment 7 and Assignment 8 to be able to do Project 3. So I want to make sure that we answer questions on those for sure. Wednesday, we are going to have a guest speaker in class. I have to find out from them whether or not they'll let me record it. That's solely up to them because it's them doing the presentation. So if you're in class, you're absolutely going to get to see at least one person from GTRI, which is the Georgia Tech Research Institute. If you're online, I'm hoping to video it where you can see what they talk about and learn more about their research facilities. and job and intern opportunities that might be going on there. What else? I am going to be really, really nice, and I'm going to open all of the reading assignments in the Zybook up during the week of Thanksgiving. Now, do you have to go do it? No. But if you miss some reading assignments and you want to go try to improve your grades, the week of Thanksgiving is going to be your only chance to do that. Actually, I don't have to go open them back up. You can go just do them and I can pull the grades. It just looks like you're not getting credit for it right now. But I'm going to do that where I can get a solid report on Friday of the week of Thanksgiving while y'all are all out shopping. I'm going to pull a report on the final results of the reading material because you should have already read it by now. You just did it. It should all be done. But I'm gonna pull the final report, and I'm gonna go back and make sure that the grades are there. This is my gift to you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That's your gift to go back and get any of the reading stuff you didn't do. Because I have several people that have not done some of their reading, which is out of character. They'll have 100% on all but like one chapter. It's one of those, oops. I forgot it was there kind of thing. So that's my gift to you. It helps your participation grade, might offset some of the tests and project grades. Project 2, I spent 3.5 hours Friday on it. I am almost done, and then I walked out and left all of my papers on my desk Friday. So I will finish those and have them in by the end of the day. Everybody will know what they made on project 2 by the end of today. I hope to have 7 also graded fairly quickly because it wasn't a very long assignment. That's over a easier to grade. Projects are much harder to grade. Because every one of those color changes y'all did, I have to contest. No, it really is not. Thanksgiving break. I don't have anything assigned for Thanksgiving break. That's the reason I'm going to open the reading materials up then. Then it's completely up to you. You can either take a week off. Are you going to try to improve your grade? You've already done everything you're supposed to do. Enjoy your week off. I want to enjoy my week with my family, so you should enjoy the week with your family. When we get back, we're going to finish working on this project. You're going to take the departmental quiz if you haven't already taken it. 2 or 3 people have. I don't know why you would take it before you finish the course material, but you know, hey, some people did. And then we'll talk a little bit about your final exam, which oddly enough is just another test. If you are perfectly happy with the 3 test grades you already have, you can exist the final exam. I'm going to try to have all of your grades up to date except for project 3 before you ever even attempt the final. So you'll know whether or not you want to take what you have. I will not get project 3 graded before then. There's just no way physically that that's going to happen before the final exam opens. But I'm going to be realistic. I'm human. Unless I make it due earlier, and I don't know if y'all probably don't want it due any earlier. Now, if you finish it early and you want to submit it, feel free. Let me know. I'll go ahead and knock yours out while I have time. All right. So that's the agenda for this coming week. So file DOCX is the project, and also this link will take you to the project. So this one is for my Mac users where you can read it in the what you call it, preview window. If you just want the Word document, you can just download it there. And I'd already downloaded it once. So, hey, you also can download it from the preview window if you want to download it. All right. So we get too far gone on this one, was there any major stumbling blocks for 8 so far? Notice I did change the due date till Friday because I did it for last week. We don't have anything new coming up. Some of you might want some extra time. Up to you. Okay, so this project, first thing you should notice right off the top is there's only 2 parts, not 3. So the first part is worth 84 points. The second part is worth 16 points. Why? Because let's face it, it's the last project. I need time to grade it. It's slightly shorter. Not less difficult, but slightly shorter than the other 2 projects. So what we're going to be working on this one is we're going to have a comma separated values. We'll make this a tad bigger.
I think this is the first time I've actually heard him.
Yeah, because he's standing right next to the door. All right, so we're going to use the comma separated values file. It has the Atlanta temperatures from 2017. Why 2017? Because this was pulled down off of a public information site. And we just randomly chose a file. Has a lot of data.
2017 is the exact same as 2023. All the dates on the same.
Really?
Yeah.
Only a mathematician would notice that the dates are the same. All right, so it's just a coincidence that it all has the same dates because I didn't know that kind of math. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to download that file. It is in the content page. You should be able to download it with no problem. Right? Once you get it downloaded, you're going to put it in a folder somewhere on your computer. In the same place, you're going to save the PI file, just like we have for the last project and the last 2 assignments. See, if you put everything close together, your life will be so much easier. Unless you're using a really weird Chromebook and having issues. Yeah, it happens. So remember that this file is going to have 3 pieces of data in it. Right here. Each line's going to look just like that. Make it. Can y'all see that in the back? Do I need to make it bigger? Bigger? No. Okay. So the first grouping of numbers and symbols, those of us that were born and raised in the United States, is pretty obvious. That's a date, right? European states are different, but that's pretty obvious that that's a date. The next piece of data after the comma is 88, and the next piece of data after the comma is 71. So the format for this file is the date, high temp, low temp. So column 1, date. Column 2, high temp for that date. Column 3, low temp for that date. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to evaluate high and low temperatures this year. Yes? See. You guys know how to start idle. You know how to name your projects by now. This is actually project 3. I know the directions say project 4 because last semester I toyed with putting an extra project in. It didn't work. It just made things very much rushed and cramped. So I took it out. Y'all didn't want another project anyway. So name it project 3, name it project 4, it doesn't matter. I'm going to know it's this one. Whatever makes you happy. So we're going to go through and we're going to add functionality, which basically means we're going to add some functions that are going to do some things. The directions on this one are not nearly as detailed or precise as what you have been getting in the past. I assume at this point that you know you need a main function. It's time, I told you that last project, I was taking the training wheels off and having to do some stuff on your own. Now you're on your own. You're on your own two wheels and you're going. I will answer questions about part one, but I didn't give you step-by-step directions on how to do this. Because you're all experienced programmers at this point. Don't give me dirty looks. And you should be able to figure some of this out. So, you're going to add functionality to tell me the highest temperature of the year, the lowest temperature of the year. You're also going to tell me the lowest high temperature and the lowest and the highest low temperature. Now read that very carefully. This is going to take some real careful reading. Yes, I want to know what the highest temperature for the entire year was. And I want to know what the lowest temperature for the year was. But I also want you to tell me what the highest number in the low column was, or the lowest number in the high column. Why am I doing this? Because I'm trying to make you manipulate data. So read these carefully. Because they are different. Somebody argued with me that they weren't different, but they are. I want the average high temperature of the year. I want the average low temperature of the year. I want you to ask the user for a threshold value where it's going to tell you how many temperatures were above that. Then I want you to ask the user for another threshold value that tells me how many temperatures were below that. So if I want you to ask the user for a number of low temps and a number of high temps. This is two questions, not one, because I have a lot of people that use the same threshold for both values. That's not what I'm asking. I want you to ask for two different numbers. Now, that's pretty much all you have to do for part one, except you have to add comments. You have to make sure that you have followed the dry principle and the SRP principle. So you're not going to repeat yourself. You're going to have all of your functions have a single responsibility, right? So you might have a function that does averages, right? You might have a function that does highs and lows. This is all up to you, but I expect you to use some of the stuff I taught you well, or maybe poorly, but you have to use the stuff I taught you. So I also think you should continue reading these things, and says I encourage you to upload what you completed. When it says Moodle, it's supposed to be coursed in. Then I could use two different things. So coursed in, anytime you see Moodle, go coursed in. Once you've done all of part one, go ahead and upload it just in case you get caught up in your holiday celebrations or whatever, and you forget to come back to it. Doesn't hurt. I only grade the last thing. I have some people that upload each part individually. That's fine. I just grade part 3 if it's there, or I grade part 2, whatever. But if you're working on these, I highly encourage you to save them. I only need the PI file. I already have the temperature file. Don't have to send me the temperature file again. Part 2. Part 2 has you changing your output where you have sentences that tell me what the output was and what the date was. And this doesn't sound that hard until you start thinking about it. Because you can find the highest temperature column in a column without having the date associated to it. You got to figure out how you're going to take the high temperature from one column and find the date that's in the exact same spot in the other column. So keep that in mind. Hint, hint, counters in your loops are great things. After you do the part where you updated where you're giving me the dates of when the highest and lowest temperatures occurred, we're gonna get down to part 2 of this, or step 2 of this. And it's gonna ask you the output for each month must be preceded by the name of the month. So it wants you to break down all of your information by months. Right? And you all know the months of the year.
January,
She's gonna mix them up, but it's okay. And you're gonna have a section where it's gonna print out each month at a time. Here's an example. January, February, March, right? Yes. So this means that you have to break your information down by date again. Now, nobody is saying that you can't take the file you read in, which was read in as a list, and convert it into several different lists. So the functions may be to break the information down. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's no one correct way to do any of this. What works for you might not work for your neighbor. I honestly would be very surprised if any 2 of your programs look identical to each other. This is how catching y'all cheating is so much easier, because very rarely do any 2 of you think exactly alike. Now, part 1, you absolutely can help each other. You can ask me for help. You can ask CSX for help. No problem. So I want you to get at least an 84 on this, because I'm a nice guy. Part 2, I want you to do a little more independently. You can still ask for help from your classmates on a syntax error. And you can talk through logic together, but you should not be sharing code. You can ask me questions, and I will give you help. I'll point you in the right direction. I'm gonna try to point you in the right direction first. Don't expect me to just immediately change your code. If you're super frustrated and it's week 2 and I'm gonna probably give you more help then if you've been asking me questions. But if you wait, I swear to you, if I have one more person wait to the weekend before the project's due to email me and say they can't open the file with the directions in it, my response is going to be too late now. I cannot tell you how many on this last project that I got questions on how to set up the file structure 2 days before it was due. You all know that you couldn't do that 2 days unless you gave up your entire weekend and spent the next 48 hours in front of your computer. Same here. You can't. Fine, you probably could sit down in one weekend and do this, but you're not going to eat, sleep, or have any interactions with humans outside of it. That's a normal weekend for some of you, but hey. So remember, single responsibility. Do not repeat yourself. When you've done all this, turn it in to me. Okay. I do not care how many decimal places you have on your averages and your whatever. I'm not going to make you format strings and have 1 or 2 decimal places. If you have an illustrated decimal places, okay. If you want to go format your strings, you can, but I'm not going to give you extra credit for it. I do expect your output to resemble the examples. Does it have to be letter by letter exactly the same? No, but it has to resemble them. So, questions? I would like to point out up here in part 1 that remember lists have functions you can use. Right? They know how long they are. They actually can find the min and the max. I taught you these functions. Feel free to use them. Or you can use loops to do it. Okay. It's in the slides. It's also in the API.
That API sucks. I'm sorry. Going through all those different functions.
I'm going to be honest with you. Every API sucks. Everyone does. But if you notice at the top, there is a search option. It's a box. You can type
Then
things
you
in.
have to find exactly which one if it has multiple subcategories.
Yes. Oh my. You have to learn to do your own research. Oh. Break my heart that you actually have to go and the whole goal of me pointing you to the API is not necessarily because the API is easy. It's because the API is always available to you. So when you get out of this class and you're writing code professionally, you have a source to start from looking. I am surprised at how many of y'all do not know how to make a good Google search. Because it's really easy to go into Google and type example of for loop in Python. You'd be amazed how many people will give you an example of a for loop in Python. String functions in Python. List function in Python. Just saying. I don't know. All right. Now, you know the files that you did with 8? They were really short little files. These are not as short. There's at least 365 rows, right? Because it's a year. Ooh, wow. There's 365 days in a year. Deep breath.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna throw some things out there for you to consider. I don't know if it helps or not. Remember, the months of the year are, except for leap year, are all exactly the same every year. You know how many days are in each month. You also know that the starting number and the date indicates which month it is. So those are 2 different ways you could potentially sort out which ones belong. You can count them, or you can just get the first item and check the number. Remember, all of this is being read into a file. Make sure that if you're doing math on them, that they are not strings. Your date is a string. The temperatures are not. Huh?
Those are integers, aren't they?
They're integers. They can be floats if you want to be, but they're right now they're integers.
Fair enough.
The answer are going to have decimal places if you don't have to define that. Now, if we were in Java, you'd have to define you'd have to make them match. One couldn't be a float, one couldn't be an integer. They'd have to match. All right. When the user gives you data, don't forget to convert it. I saw a lot of that this past week, which I thought I would have beaten into your heads by now. When you ask a user for information, it's a string, you have to convert it to a number. You all are looking at me with blank stares, but, well, not all of you. Some of you are stressing out. All right. So that's my spiel on that. Based on what you did in 8 and 7, to some extent, you should have all of the skills to do this. Plus, you'll have to do a little thinking. Maybe a lot of thinking. But I've given you the skills to accomplish this. Questions? All right, give me a comment.
Screw the API.
Okay, you don't like the API.
I just like.
You're excellent at complaining. So I would like to point out that my PowerPoints are always out there for you guys, and almost everything that I tell you to go look up in the API is hinted upon in the examples in the PowerPoints. Huh? I hope somebody looks through my PowerPoints a time or two. My videos are not getting a lot of watches, so I don't know how that's going.
I tried to for project 2, but the thing is, you screwed me over on the part that I needed for the first episode. No, I think you may have skipped over a tiny bit on showing the time.
I will never.
I don't know how to explain it. Project 2, you said you wasn't gonna write out the code for us. You did something on the board, and I cannot pick up on the mic as well.
All right, so I have never said that I was going to do all of it on the video for you. I give you enough information to get started. You have to go back and fill in the details. I'm trying to cover the highlights and the big parts, right? That's my goal. All right, so I don't really want to start project 3 right now. I want you to think about it. I really want you to think about it. Yeah, and I know that you guys are at an age where you think everything's digital, but I promise you, especially if you've been in here on Fridays when I'm working stuff on the board, you've seen this. Writing it out will help you with your thought process. It might not help you with the actual code, but drawing pictures and writing things down will help you organize your thoughts. If you don't believe me, try it. Prove me wrong. Also, and people laugh at me for this, if you will go and get yourself a rubber ducky or a stuffed animal or anything and talk to it, it will help you. I have 3 rubber ducks on my desk at home. And it's not really that I'm talking to the rubber duck, it's just a reminder to talk it out. If you don't want to talk to an inanimate object or you feel like you're crazy because you're talking to yourself, go find your roommate, your best friend, your spouse, your significant other, whatever, and say, I don't want you to answer this question, and you don't have to understand it, but just listen to them.
That didn't work well the last time either.
Okay, well, then you do an inanimate object.
Yeah, I literally told to my friend.
It doesn't work well for me because my husband is also in the computer field and he wants to solve the problem. I don't want to problem solve. I want him just to listen to. And he doesn't know Python, so he can't actually code. Sound respond in German? That just annoys me. It's okay. My husband does speak German. He thinks I'm speaking a foreign language when I talk Python, so it's okay.
The second professor on that married a German name.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm stopping this video unless you have real questions.